Hey everybody, it's Frankie-Lou. I am here today because I'm seeing a whole lot of questions about winter sowing, and so I wanted to make as quick as I can, and I'm going to run through this super fast, guys, because there are so many questions and I don't want this to be a half an hour long video. Please don't forget to send me a message if I didn't clarify anything enough for you. Try to answer those questions and also direct you to some other resources that might have more of that information available for you. Lots and lots of questions. I get it. It's the beginning of January. Christmas is over. All your seed catalogs are arriving. You want to get started. First, why wait? Well, let me explain what winter sowing is and how it got started in the first place. The fabulous practice of winter sowing with milk jugs came to us through a wonderful gardener down in the U.S. named Trudy Davidoff. And she developed this incredibly easy, no fuss, no muss way to garden. And it is a no fuss, no muss way to garden. But I have discovered that up here in zone 3, in harsher conditions like I have here near Calgary and also in Golden, BC, I do winter sowing at 2 different homesteads. I have found I got much better results if I wait. Here in Calgary, it's Chinook zone. And that means we have extremely erratic temperatures well into winter. And when I initially started doing my winter sowing, I found out about it in March the first year. And so I put some stuff out in March and was incredibly happy with the results. So the next year I thought, oh, I knew about it earlier. I'm going to start putting stuff out in January. And my results were actually pretty abysmal. I lost a lot of jugs due to stuff germinating too soon when it wasn't actually anywhere near the end of winter, because we had some long extended Chinook periods with high temperatures during the day. Some of my seedlings actually started to germinate in January, beginning of February. Inevitably, the cold weather came back and froze and killed all my little babies. So I have discovered that it's better here in more erratic and more harsh conditions to wait until things level out a little bit more. And it seems like mid-February is usually a good time to start with those hardy perennials, and then staggering with successively more tender crops after that. So long story short, yes, if you live somewhere where your temperatures are really consistent and aren't super cold like we get here up in Canada, you could get started right at the winter solstice. But I would not recommend that here. I have experimented, even in Golden, where the temperatures are a little bit more consistent. I have found waiting until February is a better idea. Okay, so I hope that answers that question. And don't hesitate to ask me more about it. I have experimented. I will do some more experiments again this year with it. I'm going to put some more jugs out early again this year in Golden. I'm going to go do some this weekend. But I'm pretty much sure from my previous results, I'm doing replication of my experiments, that the ones that I put out after mid-February are going to do better. That's what I found in our area. Okay, another question here, which I'm getting a lot of today because I'm getting a lot of new members and new subscribers, is why would I do this instead of using indoor lights? Multiple reasons, okay? I had to write some of them down because I usually forget when I try to go through them all. First of all, less fuss in terms of, less fussy, I should say. I used to do tons and tons of seedlings indoors under lights. And it was always a matter of keeping an eye on how much time the light was on every day, making sure they didn't get too dry, making sure they didn't stay too humid, having a fan on it. All of this stuff I had to monitor on a daily basis. Whereas this, yes, it's a little work to prepare the milk jug, but I then put it out in the snow, and I can ignore it for a couple of months until it does start to become spring and I have to start keeping an eye on the moisture level in there, rather than all of that time dealing with that stuff inside. There's also, it saves money. I'm not running lights. I'm not running electricity. I'm not buying expensive shelving. I'm not buying expensive lights. I'm a very frugal girl. This I didn't pay anything for because my kid drinks about 6 of these a week. So I just save these through the year, and honestly, it does save me a lot of money. Space. I have a table here which I actually had to put things on so I could demonstrate. Back in the day when I was doing all my indoor seating, this table every surface in this house would be covered with various seedlings seeking light. I don't have to worry about that. I'm not, my family gets to eat at the dinner table, and I have space that I'm not tripping literally over things. My cat's not sitting on the heat trays. It's just been, my house is now my own again, and my plants are outside. So that's another reason why I do it. I get better results than I used to get from my indoor ones, because I found that even with hardening off, my indoor seedlings that I started inside were kind of weak. They were too pampered. They were too babied. Whereas when I put stuff out there, it is a little bit of, one of my best buddies calls it benign neglect. You let Mother Nature take care of it. And she's going to take better care of my plants than I will. And I find that the seedlings that I get out of the milk jugs and other winter sowing containers outside are hardier. They may not be as big as the stuff I start inside, because I still do experiments. I'm experimenting all the time. But they are better able to adapt to the conditions because they started out there. And then last of all, hardening off. I used to kill so many plants hardening off, and it's such a pain in the butt moving trays in and out. I'm clumsy, drop a tray, cry. I don't have to do that anymore. Even on the rare occasion that I have dropped one of these, usually the stuff's okay in there. Okay, so hardening off is not a thing you have to worry about. You do have to allow for a little bit of adjustment when you open these to the change in humidity before you put stuff in the ground. But compared to that tedious task of moving plants in and out of your house for a couple of hours a day, progressively longer, it's nothing compared. So a little bit of work now is definitely worth avoiding a lot of work and anxiety later. Okay, so that is the why this instead of indoor lights in here. Favorite containers. I get this a lot. What am I using? What's my favorite type of vessel? Well, there's the good old milk jug. I do love milk jugs still. I still use these even for germinating stuff inside my greenhouse, because this is a great little humidity trap. I find I don't have to water stuff as much. Milk jugs are great, okay? It is a little bit more tedious with transplanting later, although I have got a new method, which I'll make some more videos about soon, with snugs, where I've taken the seed snail concept and mixed it with the milk jug concept, snug, and put the seed snails inside. And boy, transplanting out of these last year with the snugs, when I do milk jugs this year, I probably will be doing at least half of them with the snugs, because it just made transplanting so much easier, rolling out all of these wonderful little seedlings, which were, nicely separated in comparison to chunking in here. And also the root development is great. So please stay tuned for more information about snugs. I'll be making lots of videos about those later. But yes, the milk jug is great. It's wonderful. It's tall. It's big enough for you to get your good root growth and enough room to allow for your plants to grow to a good sized seedling. That being said, I would say that this is probably my favorite winter sowing container, because I'm a very busy girl and sometimes I don't have time to transplant. Particularly, I like having a little garden right outside my kitchen with just, all the cuttings of herbs and stuff that I use a lot, or edible flowers that I use a lot, greens, and I do those mostly in these, because this is large enough to sustain a full-grown plant. So I cut them, I get Angus to cut most of these up for me and put in the drainage holes. Same old way, I put it out in the snowbank. But when the stuff starts to come off, I don't have to transplant it. I just take the lid off when it's time, put it out there on the deck and in other places around my yard, and it's already a winter sowing in place. Okay, it's big enough. I've grown squash in these, I've grown Swiss chard in these, I've grown lots and lots and lots of different plants in these. They're large enough for it, so I do love these. My favorite kind of tape, that's a new one this year. When I started doing winter sowing, it was all about the duct tape. And duct tape is great for staying in place, but that is also one of the things that makes it a pain in the butt when it comes time to actually open all these jugs and get them ready for transplanting. Last year, I started using a product called tuck tape. It's also called sheathing tape. And I am not going to use duct tape anymore. I know that that's shocking, because for 6 years I've been telling people about duct tape, because this stuff is developed for using outside. It goes on like a dream. It's easier to deal with than the duct tape in terms of getting it on. But where it really comes into play is when it comes time to take the tape off, rather than struggling. And if you have arthritis, which sometimes my fingers get a little sore, pulling that duct tape off can be really difficult. This was wonderful. It came off so much easier. It held in place when it had to, but when it was time to remove it, it came off. And I'll do more experiments and I will show you later, and I'll show you how much easier it is to remove this tuck tape versus the duct tape, and it does stay in place. So if you're struggling with getting that duct tape off, give this stuff a try. What kind of labelers do you like to use? Well, a lot of people get started with the good old Sharpie. I will never use a Sharpie again in my winter sowing process because I have played what is this mystery seedling way too many times. Even the stuff that says it's permanent does wash off, particularly in our harsh zone 3 conditions where there's lots of snow, lots of wind, it's a lot of stuff that this stuff just doesn't stand up to. So my favorite product for labeling on the outside of the things is actually the this which is an ear tag marker that I get from the feed store. Okay, that's the stuff that goes on the ear tags on cattle. And yep, this stuff doesn't come off. It smells bad. Use it in a ventilated area, but it works really, really well, and it doesn't come off. The other thing I do to help with labeling is I actually pre-tag everything I put in a milk jug. I cut little tags out of these yogurt containers, and then I pop them up into the handle here when I make the milk jug. And that way, I've saved myself some work when it's time to transplant. I've got the tags pre-made. The seedlings won't grow up into the handle where the tag is. And if for some reason this stuff happens to wash off, I know I still know what's inside the jug. Okay, so that's what I deal with labeling. People are asking me about soil. Okay, so this is not, I'm not trying to sell products. They're not sponsoring me. This is once again trial and error, and I have found this far and above to be the best product that I've been using over the years. It's the Pro Mix Organic Herb and Veggie Blend. Because you're not doing a standard seed starting here. When you do standard seed starting, a lot of people want to use a seed starting mix, which usually has very little fertilizing agent in it, and it's super light. This is light enough to still be your seed starter. Once your seeds start to germinate in the spring, these jugs are going to need to sustain them for far longer than what you would normally pot up with your indoor starts. Okay. Instead of moving your plants progressively up to larger containers like you do when they're indoor seedlings, you're actually going to have this one jug maintain your seedlings till it's time to transplant. So you need some nutrition in that soil in order to sustain that seedling. And I found that stuff has been great. I've never had a problem with it, and it has got good moisture retention. It's just what I found I like the best. I like the fact that it's organic because I do grow mostly edible flowers, plants, herbs, yada, yada, yada. So I like to use the organic product. That's what I recommend, but you can probably come up with some fun mixes yourself. Just make sure that you keep in mind that it needs to be light for easy seed germination, and then you want to make sure that it has enough fertilizer in it to sustain that plant while it's waiting to be transplanted. Okay, what's my favorite seeds? Well, first off, I have always found that seeds that I collect myself or get from my fabulous friends who give me seeds from their local gardens are generally going to do better than anything that I buy that's sold just randomly across North America. I still will use these on occasion, particularly if I'm running low on something and I'm in a hurry and I know I could get that at the grocery store. But when it comes to seeds, my favorite ones are the ones that I've saved myself or I get from good buddies who know me and know that seeds are my favorite present. Because I always love playing with seeds. And so trying to find something that's grown locally, you're going to find is going to work better in your conditions, particularly for those of you who are watching from harsh conditions. If a plant is producing seeds in your area, those seeds are more likely to do well than ones that are produced in lovely hothouse conditions somewhere in California. Does that make sense? The more local you can get, I have found in my experience, that's going to be better. And also when you can support the small local growers, that's a great win-win for everybody as well. What can be winter sown? That's one that I get a lot of, because a lot of people think you can only use hardy perennials. And I think that comes from the fact that hardy perennials usually do definitely benefit from cold stratification, which is one of the reasons winter sowing is so great. That whole being out in the cold is really great at helping to break the seed coat of some of our hardy perennials. And yes, it's perfect for that. If you want to get started and you just want to do a few things for your first year, start with hardy perennials, because guarantee you're going to get better results with this because you're replicating Mother Nature than you will trying to start hardy perennials inside. You're not going to have to do any nicking. You're not going to have to do any soaking. You're not going to have to do any seed freezing in your freezer, because that's all happening in these milk jugs, right? Outside in the snow. Mother Nature's taking care of it. But that being said, hardy perennials are not the only thing that can be done. I do almost everything with these now out in the snow. The only thing, and I know I have some wonderful people on my Facebook group who are even getting away with lots of tomatoes and peppers. Those really hot things, I'm generally not doing much of. True winter sowing, I have a cheat for that, which I can show you later. But I have found that with various techniques, you can get away with doing almost anything in these, okay? So yes, hardy perennials are a no-brainer. With a little extra fiddling and a little timing, you can get away with starting almost anything in these babies. Okay, I know I spoke really fast. I know I didn't cover everything, but this video is already getting really long. As I said, please don't hesitate to ask questions. I love talking about this stuff. Once you get me started, it's hard to shut me up about it. I hope you'll give it a try. I hope you'll share your results. I love learning from other people's experiments as well. And and if there's an experiment you want me to try, I would love to hear about that. I did 3 new experiments last year, had wonderful results with, and I'm really excited about learning even more. So if you have an experiment you would like me to try, let me know, and I will share. Okay? Thanks for sending in those questions so that I can produce more content that's suited to what you want to hear. And as always, I hope you'll take this chance to grow together today. Have a good one.